The state is lowering its financial expectations. The Economic and Revenue Forecast Council is estimating a $78 million drop in revenue for the current two-year budget. Now, the council blames slower economic growth nationally and also globally. It's the first time in 2 years that the state has lowered its economic forecast. Today, the council also lowered its projections for the 2017 to 2019 budget by $436 million. So what does this all mean for the state? That's the big question.
Yeah, Austin Jenkins of Public Radio's Northwest News Network joins us now live from Olympia. And Austin, break this down so we can understand it in simple terms. First off, what does this mean?
Well, what it means is that the state revenues are still growing. In fact, they're expected to grow 8% between this current two-year budget cycle and the next two-year budget cycle. But they're not growing as fast as the forecasters thought they would be at this time. And so really, it is a revising downward the expectation. And this does have implications potentially for the current budget, but it has much broader implications for the next budget. And that's because that's the deadline for the state to fully fund public schools. And so they're looking at potentially nearly $500 million less money to work with. That is significant when you're talking about trying to balance a budget and put a lot of new money into public schools.
So, Austin, as we talk about how did we get here, should people be worried?
So Greg and Danielle, I'm not hearing your question. I do want to mention, though, that really the implication short term, a $78 million hit doesn't help, but at the same time, they're lucky because they're also seeing less utilization of state resources. So that means less money going out the door. It's basically a balance for them. I will make the point that longer term, again, with the McCleary situation, this is pretty serious. And it does sort of underscore the fact that things are really coming to a head for 2017. That's next year when they're going to have to balance a new two-year budget and deal with potentially a $3 to $4 billion additional down payment for public schools. So that's really what's driving this. Unfortunately, Danielle and Greg, I can't hear you at this point, but I just want to put this in some context and sort of put it in those terms. Not a big deal this year, a bigger deal next year.
Well, Austin Jenkins of Public Radio's Northwest News Network. Sorry for the loss in connection. There's still one of the couple of gremlins we have in the system will work out. Always good to hear from you, Austin.